You and the guy she cheated with?
Me and the guy that she cheated with. We would
sit down, talk, and hang out?
We sat down.
I've never heard of such.
Lies, cheating, dishonesty, and drama are all part of why we all love the Daytime Emmy Award-winning courtroom show, Laren Lake's Paternity Court. On the show, we've seen plenty of moments where things have gone a tad emotional and chaotic, and we are here for it. So in today's episode, we take you through some of the most dramatic cases that were fought in paternity court. Number 1. Elliott v. Hall. This doozy of a case kicks off with Max Elliott claiming that he is not the true father of Miss Hall's 10-month-old baby boy, Noah. In his statement about his doubt about his fatherhood, we hear that,
Mr. Elliott, you say you do not believe you are the father of Miss Hall's son because at the time he was conceived, Miss Hall was in a relationship with another man and later gave her child his last name.
Yes, ma'am.
Amanda Hall, on the other hand, fully admits to cheating on Mr. Elliott with her ex-boyfriend, but says that she doesn't truly know who the father of her child is, but she does hope that it's Max. Her statement reads,
Now, Miss Hall, you admit you have no idea who fathered your son.
Yes, ma'am.
You acknowledge you slept with another man, but say that was only because you were confused and didn't know who you wanted to be with at the time.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Laren then asks Max Elliott why he has doubts about being Noah's biological father. He says that around the time of Noah's conception, he and Miss Hall were going through some troubles in their relationship, and that was when Miss Hall started seeing her ex-boyfriend again.
So you felt like you were in a relationship with her, but she'd start an argument and then pick a fight and then make the fight so big she'd have reason to walk out and go back to her ex's house.
Yeah, because I'd tell her to go ahead and go when I didn't want to deal with the situation. I mean, at the time I was done with it, but I really didn't mean I was done with the relationship. I didn't really think she'd just go back to him.
And this is where things started to turn wild. Miss Hall admits that she was with both her ex-boyfriend and Mr. Elliott at the time of her son's conception, which prompted the judge to ask,
Is this a yo-yo, a seesaw type relationship?
I love them both. It was hard. One gave me great sex. The other one gave me a great relationship and the support I needed for my kids. I needed it all from him, and then Max also couldn't give me that, so I had to run to...
About Miss Hall's complaints of Mr. Elliott not being able to give her the support she needed, he said,
Really financially stable at the time. That's how I feel like she really went back to him every time because his family is well off. I was poor growing up. I had to fight for everything I had.
Miss Hall tells the judge that Max was aware of her relationship with her ex-boyfriend, even while they were together, saying that she never hid anything from him. But Mr. Elliott feels that...
Is that true, Mr. Elliott? Were you aware of it?
Yes, I was aware of it, but when we started talking and everything, and after she broke up with him, then we decided, she said she had feelings for me. I told her I had feelings for her. We started a relationship, so I thought she started a new commitment with me. She wouldn't do what she'd done before with him, and we would be in a relationship together.
Miss Hall claims that her fights with Max and the constant arguing in their relationship are what push her to go back to her ex. Judge Laren, though, does not believe that at all.
What is it about the arguing or what he's doing that's pushing you? I mean, it sounds like it's just an excuse.
No, it's not an excuse, Your Honor. I can't be with a guy that's going to argue with me.
See, I can't trust her if she's going to go back every time to
Well,
him.
I don't think you can.
When the judge asked why Miss Hall doesn't just break off her relationship with Max if she isn't happy, she says,
The point is, if Mr. Elliott truly isn't giving you what you need in a relationship, why not just break it off?
It's hard when you love somebody.
All right, so you say you love him, and you also love your ex, right?
Not as much as I do Max.
But Max reveals that he wasn't even allowed to come up to see Noah at the hospital when he was born.
When she had the baby, I didn't even know she had the baby. I wasn't even allowed to come up there to see her. I wanted to be there.
Wait a minute.
I wanted to be at the hospital when he was born. I
You
wasn't
weren't allowed to come
I'm
up
sorry,
there?
if he could find a ride himself, Your Honor, he could have came up there. That's his fault.
Max went on.
Wait a minute, you're saying you weren't allowed?
Yeah, her
What do you mean by that? Who told you you couldn't come?
her boyfriend. She let him sign the birth certificate.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. He didn't sign no birth certificate. There's no birth certificate signed at all.
After having heard enough of the lies and dishonesty from Miss Hall, the judge was finally ready to bring out the reports of the DNA results.
When it comes to 10-month-old Noah Grooms, Mr. Elliott, You are not Noah's father.
Number 2. White v. Mock. The case starts off with Mr. Don White bringing his ex-wife to court for allegedly revoking his parental rights for a girl he thinks is his biological daughter. He believes
Daughter, thus allowing another man to adopt her.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you've petitioned the court for a DNA test and say once the results prove that you are indeed Miss Tasha Mock's biological father, you would like her mother to pay you $5,000 for fraud resulting in emotional distress.
Yes, Your Honor.
Julia Mock, Tasha's mother, though, says that she doesn't believe Mr. White is the true father of her daughter. She says,
You're adamant that you don't owe him a single dollar, and it's your hope that when today's test results are revealed, Mr. White will leave you and your daughter alone for good.
Yes.
Judge Laren started off the case by asking Mr. White why he thinks he's been lied to by his ex-wife. He talks about being married to Julia back in the 80s and says,
Why?
Your Honor, in the early 1980s, Julia and I were married, and she birthed me a son 10 months afterwards. A year later, she was pregnant with Tasha, and I ended up going to jail. She was 2 months pregnant when I went to jail.
Mr. White went on, saying that Ms. Mock probably did believe at the time that he was Tasha's father, since she did put his name on her birth certificate while he was still incarcerated. He also told the judge that
30 days after Tasha was born, she brought her to the jail, let me hold her. The day afterwards, I was shipped upstate for 10 years.
Mr. White talked about how Julia filed for divorce while he was still in jail, and later on tried to get his parental rights revoked for both his son and Tasha.
About a year after that, she petitioned the court to involuntarily terminate my parental rights to both my son and to Tasha. I acted as my own attorney because I had nothing but time, so I went to the law library and I taught myself law, and acting as my own attorney, I fought it in court and I won.
Judge Laren then asked Miss Mock why she went through so many hurdles just to get Mr. White's name off, to which she said,
Ms. Mock, what is the motive behind all of this?
I was trying to protect them.
So you were trying to protect your children because you didn't want them to have to go back and forth to jail to visit their father, or were you trying to protect Tasha because you didn't believe Mr. White was her father?
That was partial.
Her statements took the court by surprise, but the drama did not end there. The judge proceeds to ask Miss Mock how she was able to get another man to legally adopt Tasha, to which she revealed,
How did you manage to get another man to adopt your daughter when he never relinquished his legal right?
The judge just signed the papers.
Judge Laren then went directly to the victim of this whole case, Tasha, and asked her about what motivated her to find the truth. Tasha told the courtroom,
When I was 26, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and I put a lot of thought into it. I was blind and I couldn't walk, so I had nothing but time to sit and think about it.
She talked about her illness and everything she went through in her life. Tasha then talks about the first time that she met Mr. White.
When I had turned 28, I got my vision back, and 29, I reached out to Mr. White on Facebook.
You did?
I did.
August 23rd.
Mr. White then addresses the courtroom again, speaking about how he got in touch with Tasha.
He had sent me a text out on Facebook that night. I have a copy of it here.
I'd like to see it, please.
She told me that she had been born to Tasha Renee White. She wanted to know if I was her father. She was trying to find the things out. We got on the phone. Within an hour or two, I was on the road to her house.
But Miss Mock, however, is hell-bent on proving that Mr. White is not her daughter's biological father, saying that,
So you're not hoping this other man is the father either?
No.
You're just hoping that when we leave this
prove
courtroom
that
today
he is
that
not the father,
you
that
don't
it's
want
all
her
right.
to know who her father is.
She has a father. He adopted her.
Judge Laren then asks Miss Mock,
Do you understand the need, the desire,
Yes.
the longing in her to know who her biological father is?
Yes.
And as her mother, is there a part of you that wants to provide, to fulfill that need?
Yes.
That's a natural mother's instinct.
Yes, I do. I only want my daughter to be happy because of her illness.
Julia gets sentimental, talking about how much she loves Tasha and that she would do anything to make her happy, especially given her condition. But then something shocking happens when the judge asks this.
If, in
And
fact,
that's
Mr.
why I'm
White is
here.
not the biological father, you would help her find the other gentleman?
No.
But Mr. White doesn't think the same. He talks about his promise to Tasha and says,
I made a promise to her the day that she reached out to me. I'll do everything I can to help her find the truth.
But, Ms. Mock, do you hear what you're saying?
Yes.
By this point, Judge Lake had heard enough and was ready to bring out the DNA lab test results.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. White, you are not the father.
I'll still help you.
After hearing the heartbreaking results, Mr. White hugged Tasha and tried to comfort her. The judge saw this and reminded Mr. White about his promise to Tasha, to which he said,
You say that you will help her find her biological father if she asks for that help. And I hope you live up to that, Mr. White.
I most certainly will, Your Honor. I told this young lady when she first stepped into my life I'd help her find the truth. So whether she's mine by blood or not, she's still mine by spirit.
She also had this to say to Miss Mock.
Ms. Mock, what I encourage you today, though, is to think about the pain that you felt, feeling abandoned by the men you've loved. Do not pass those feelings down to your daughter.
Well, that's all we have for this episode. If you liked the video, leave us a thumbs up. Also, let us know in the comments what your favorite dramatic moment has been on Paternity Court, and if we missed any that you like. Until next time.